Hello dear student, welcome to our new session of motion in plane. Motion in plane carry three different parts. One is projectile motion, second is vector, and third is circular motion. So it's your second lecture related to circular motion. We are now proving equation of motion in equation of circular motion with constant angular acceleration. So write down your new heading. It is equation of circular motion, equation of circular motion with constant angular acceleration. This is very similar to motion in straight line, which we already discussed, that is equation of motion with constant acceleration. As we all know, my dear student, when we are talking about circular motion, in that case all the terms, all the linear terms will be replaced by angular terms, like velocity is replaced by angular velocity, acceleration is replaced by angular acceleration, velocity will be replaced by angular velocity, and displacement will be replaced by angular displacement. Theta, omega and alpha. Theta represents for angular displacement, alpha represents for angular acceleration, and omega represents for angular velocity. So my dear student, here comes equation of circular motion with constant angular acceleration. In linear motion, we'll say acceleration is constant. Here we are keeping angular acceleration to be constant. So my dear student, I am writing here, let a particle is moving in a circular track having radius r. So what I am considering here, my dear student, we are considering we have a circular track and the radius of circular track is r. So this is origin and the radius of circular track is r, and particle is moving in this circular track. So second thing what we consider, let the angular acceleration of particle, let the angular acceleration of particle be alpha. As we all know, alpha represents for angular acceleration, and angular acceleration is used when the particle is in circular motion. Moving forward, let the initial angular velocity of particle is equals to omega naught. So omega naught is nothing but initial angular velocity. Instead of velocity, because we are dealing circular motion, that's why I am using angular velocity. Moving forward, let the final angular velocity of particle, is equals to omega. So we have two different terms, my dear student. One is initial angular velocity, which is represented by omega naught. Second is final angular velocity, which is represented by omega. So our particle is moving with angular velocity, initial angular velocity omega naught, and final angular velocity is omega. Now moving forward, let the initial time of motion be t1 which is considered to be 0. Let initial time, that means the particle is moving when time t is equals to 0. Moving forward, my dear student, let the final time of motion, let the final time of motion be t2 which is considered to be t. So my dear student, I am considering 3-4 things, which is angular acceleration is considered to be constant, and these equations which will prove is always valid if angular acceleration is constant, similar to motion in straight line, in which all the equations are valid if the linear acceleration is constant. So again, moving forward, initial angular velocity is represented by omega naught and final angular velocity is represented by omega. The motion is starting from t1 which is 0 to t2 which is t, and the particle is moving in circular track. As we all know, some formulas are there, like fundamental equations of motion, fundamental equation of circular motion. They are, first, that is omega which is equals to d theta by dt, that is change in angular displacement with respect to time. Second formula is alpha which is equals to change in angular velocity upon time. These quantities are nothing but vector, so I'll put vector sign because we know that acceleration, velocity, displacement, all three quantities is vector. So if velocity is vector, then angular velocity is also vector. If displacement is vector, then angular displacement is also vector. If acceleration is vector, then angular acceleration, my dear student, is also a vector. And one more formula is there for alpha. It is alpha is equals to d omega by dt. I'll multiply with d theta and divide with d theta, and we know that d theta by dt, it is nothing but omega, so alpha can also be write as omega d omega by d theta. This is one more formula of what, my dear student, of angular acceleration. So we are using all these three equations of fundamental circular motion to prove the equation of circular motion with constant angular acceleration. In previous lecture, we'll discuss all these formula. These all formula are related to straight line motion. Only thing is we are changing the term. Instead of linear, I'm using angular, because in circular motion every terms is changes. Instead of linear, we are using angular. So I am proving very first equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So write down, my dear student, first topic, first formula which we'll discuss in this lecture is equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. First equation of motion. We are discussing now first equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So write down first equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. I am writing here first equation of motion, first equation of motion with constant angular acceleration, with constant angular acceleration. First equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So my dear student, as for linear it is v is equals to u plus at, where v is final velocity, u is initial velocity and a is acceleration. As we know that here we are using angular word, so our final angular velocity is omega, initial angular velocity is omega naught, and a is alpha. So we have to prove this equation. It is omega is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. Omega is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. So I am using, by using fundamental equation of circular motion. Fundamental equation of circular motion, it is alpha. See, in this equation omega is there. I mean change in omega, that is change in angular velocity is there, because we have final angular velocity as well as initial angular velocity. So it means that angular velocity changes from initial to final, that is from omega naught to omega. There is alpha, there is t. So I am using the equation that is alpha, which is equals to d omega by dt. I am taking dt this side. So alpha dt is equals to d omega. So my dear student, d omega is nothing but small change in angular velocity. I am repeating once again, d omega is nothing but small change in angular velocity. So if we wish to find net change in angular velocity, we know we have to use integration. If small change is there and you wish to find net change, then we will follow integration. So for net change in angular velocity, integrating both side, kinematics is, my dear student, quite very interesting. If you are aware with all the previous lecture, then you will connect with previous lecture with this lecture and you will enjoy the subject. So that's why prefer all the lectures before all these topics, so that your basic concept will be cleared. Then only you will match the concept with me. So for net change in angular velocity, integrating both sides, I am integrating this equation. It is alpha dt is equals to integration d omega. So my dear student, now it's time to put the limit. We know that our angular velocity is changing from omega naught to omega, where omega naught is initial angular velocity and omega is final angular velocity. We know that alpha is constant and constant term always comes outside the integration. So in this side we will put limit omega naught to omega, that is from initial angular velocity to final angular velocity, and here alpha is constant, it comes outside from integration. Dt is change in time. As we know, time is changes from t1 to t2. So I will write t1 to t2, and we know that t1 is 0 and t2 is t. Now terms to integrate. If integration of dx is x, then it is but obvious that integration of d omega is, as we all know, it is omega. So omega is equals to, alpha comes outside, dt from 0 to t. So omega is equals to alpha, d omega, limit is there, that is omega naught to omega, and integration of dt is nothing but t, and limit is 0 to t. Now we all know how to put the limit, upper limit minus lower limit. So omega minus omega naught is equals to alpha t minus 0. So omega minus omega naught is equals to alpha t. So omega is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. This is our first equation of motion in circular track, first equation of circular motion with constant angular acceleration. It is omega is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. Omega is final angular velocity, omega naught is initial angular velocity, alpha is angular acceleration, and t is time. So I hope you all enjoy this first equation of motion, because it is very similar to first motion in straight line, which is v is equals to u plus at. Moving forward, my dear student, now we'll prove second equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So write down next topic. It is second equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. Second equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. Write down second equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So we know that second equation is nothing but x is equals to ut plus half at square. As we know, x is displacement. Here we are in circular motion, that's why displacement will be replaced by angular displacement. So instead of x, we'll put theta. Instead of u is, my dear student, initial velocity. Instead of initial velocity, we'll use initial angular velocity, that is omega naught into t plus half alpha t square. Why alpha? Because we are in circular motion. Then we know that acceleration, this acceleration is linear, but alpha is used because alpha is angular acceleration which is achieved by particle when the particle is in circular motion. So moving forward, my dear student, we are using a relation that omega is equals to d theta by dt. Now we all know, we'll get the value of omega from first equation of motion. It is omega is equals to omega naught plus alpha t. Now I'll put this value here. So it is omega naught plus alpha t is equals to d theta by dt. Now I'll take dt this side. So it will be omega naught plus alpha t into dt is equals to d theta. Now I have to integrate this equation. So integrating both side. So what we'll get? Because d theta is small change in angular displacement. And if you wish to find net change in angular displacement, you have to integrate this term. So what we'll get? Integration of d theta is equals to integration multiply dt in both terms. It is omega naught dt plus integration alpha t dt. As we know, the angular displacement is changes. I'll write here, let the angular displacement of particle is from theta 1 to theta 2, where theta 1 is equals to 0. Let's suppose the particle starting from origin and rotate it this side. So theta 1 is considered to be 0 and theta 2, let's suppose, is considered to be theta. So I'll put the limit. So integration of d theta from theta 1 to theta 2, and theta 1 is 0 and theta 2 is theta, is equals to, my dear student, omega naught. Omega naught is initial angular velocity. And motion in straight line, I already tell you, once the particle starts its motion, then we cannot change its initial velocity. Similarly, my dear student, once the particle started its motion in circular track, then we cannot change its initial angular velocity. So omega naught, which is initial angular velocity, I'll write here initial angular velocity, it remains constant, my dear student. This term is constant. So as we know, constant from integration comes outside. So omega naught comes outside, it is dt, and time is from t1 0 to t2, it is equals to t, plus alpha comes outside because alpha is angular acceleration, and we all know angular acceleration is constant here. So alpha comes outside, t dt, and t1 is 0, t2 is t. Now my dear student, I am integrating this thing. So d theta is nothing but theta. Limit is 0 from theta, it is equals to omega naught. Integration of dt is t, 0 to t plus alpha. T dt is nothing but t square by 2. Limit is 0 to t. Now we have to put the limit. As we all know, there is a process for putting the limit. We have to put upper limit minus lower limit. So here it is theta minus 0. So I'll write here, it is theta minus 0. It is equals to omega naught t minus 0 plus 2 comes outside, it is half alpha, and t square minus 0 square. So theta is equals to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. My dear student, you will get your second equation of motion. It is theta is equals to omega naught t plus half alpha t square. I hope you all understand this equation. I'm repeating again and again. This is very similar to, you know, equation of motion in straight line. I hope you all are connecting, you know. Now write down next topic. It is third equation of motion with constant acceleration. So I hope you all understand second equation of motion. Now moving forward, we are discussing now third equation of motion with constant acceleration. I'm sorry, with constant angular acceleration. So write down, my dear student, third equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. Third equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. Third equation of motion, I'll write here, third equation of motion with constant angular acceleration. So I am using the formula. As we know, third equation of motion, it is v square minus u square is equals to 2ax. If you remember this formula, it is third equation of motion when we are talking about motion in straight line. V is final velocity, u is initial velocity, a is acceleration, and x is displacement. My dear student, we know that we are talking about circular motion. In circular motion, we will use angular velocity. So final angular velocity square minus initial angular velocity square is equals to 2 alpha theta. This is our third equation of motion which we have to prove, my dear student. Now moving forward, I am using the equation. It is alpha is equals to d omega by dt. D omega by dt. Now my dear student, what I have to do, I will multiply and divide by d theta in RHS. I am multiplying, dividing RHS with d theta. So what we will get, my dear student, it is alpha is equals to d omega by dt multiply d theta divided by d theta. As now we know that d theta by dt is nothing but omega. So what I will write, alpha is equals to omega d omega by d theta. Now what we have to do, take d theta this side with alpha. So what we'll get, my dear student, alpha into d theta is equals to omega and d omega. As we know, d omega is small change in angular velocity, d theta is small change in angular displacement. We wish to find net change in angular displacement and net change is velocity. So I am integrating both sides. So I will write for net change, integrating both sides. I will write here for net change, integrating both sides. I am integrating both sides, my dear students. So it will be alpha d theta is equals to integration omega d omega. And we know that alpha is constant, it comes outside, d theta is change in angular displacement, and we know that our angular displacement is changing from theta 1 to theta 2 and the value of theta 1 is 0 to theta. Similarly, d omega is change in angular velocity, and we know that our velocity is changes from omega naught to omega, that is initial angular velocity to final angular velocity. Moving forward, my dear student, alpha is constant, it comes outside. Integration of d theta, it is from 0 to theta is equals to omega d omega is nothing but omega square by 2. Limit is omega naught to omega. D theta is nothing but theta and limit is 0 to theta. Half comes outside, omega square omega naught to omega. Now we have to put the limit, upper limit minus lower limit. So what we'll get, alpha theta minus 0 is equals to half omega square minus omega naught square. 2 comes this side, my dear student, it will be omega square minus omega naught square is equals to 2 alpha theta. This is our third equation of motion with constant angular acceleration, my dear student. I hope you all understand all the concepts what I am teach you. This is very similar, my dear student, to the concept which is related to motion in straight line. I hope you all understand all the three equations of motion. All the three equations of motion. So third equation of motion is nothing but omega square minus omega naught square is equals to 2 alpha theta. So this is all about all the three equations of motion with constant acceleration. We are using calculus method to get all these equations, and in calculus we are dealing with integration. Remember this thing. So moving forward, my dear student, in last class we'll discuss about two types of unit vector. One is radial unit vector and another is tangential unit vector. Radial unit vector is always towards radially outward and tangential unit vector is towards tangent. These two unit vectors are used. We already aware with three types of unit vector. It is I cap, j cap and k cap. I cap is towards x axis, j cap is towards y axis and k cap is towards z axis. But in previous class I already tell you, my dear student, when we are talking about circular motion, then we'll use two different unit vectors. One is r cap, it is radial unit vector, and second is t cap, which is tangential unit vector. And as these two also are unit vector, so their magnitude is also equals to 1. In universe, whatsoever the unit vector is, its magnitude is always equals to 1, my dear student. Remember this thing. So value of magnitude of radial unit vector is 1 and value of tangential unit vector is also 1. In circular track, if I am presenting radial unit vector, it always acts radially outward, that is r cap, and tangential unit vector is always acts towards tangent. This is our radial unit vector and this is our tangential unit vector. Remember this thing. We'll get their relations as well. And we already get the relation of linear velocity when the particle is in circular motion. So it is r omega. I hope you all aware with the relation. It is, if the particle is moving in circular track, then its linear velocity is always towards tangent and it is r omega, where r is radius and omega is angular velocity. Moving forward, my dear student, write down next topic. It is linear acceleration of particle. Linear acceleration of particle. Linear acceleration of particle when the particle is in circular motion. Linear acceleration of particle when the particle is in circular motion. Linear acceleration of particle when the particle is in circular motion. So we already know about linear velocity. So linear velocity is nothing but r omega, and we know that acceleration is nothing but dv vector by dt. We are using linear relations because we are talking about linear relations, my dear student. When the particle is in circular track, then its linear acceleration. We are finding linear acceleration of particle when the particle is in circular motion. So we know that linear velocity of the particle when it is in circular motion is r omega, and we know the relation about linear acceleration. It is change in velocity, that is dv vector by dt, that is dv vector by dt, dv vector by dt, and we know that this velocity is towards tangent. So along, as we are writing the vector, so along with magnitude I'll put the direction as well. It is t cap. Now I'll put the value. It is a vector is equals to d over dt r omega and it is t cap. As we all know, my dear student, r is constant. Because r is radius, so radius remains constant. Let r comes forward. What we'll get? A vector is equals to r comes outside. It is d over dt omega and t cap. So if you are aware with product rule of differentiation, I hope you all aware with product rule of differentiation because it is related to basic maths which we already discussed. Omega is our first function and t cap is considered to be second function. I'll write here by using product rule of differentiation. Product rule of differentiation. So what product rule says? Product rule says first function as it is, differentiation of second function plus second function as it is, differentiation of first function. We have to differentiate both the functions. So first function as it is, differentiation of second function plus second function as it is, differentiation of, my dear student, first function. Moving forward, omega is our first function and t cap is our second function. So a vector is equals to r comes outside and omega is our first function. So first function as it is, differentiation of second function. So dt cap by dt plus second function as it is, that is t cap as it is, differentiation of first function, that is d omega by dt. I hope you all understand this thing. First function is omega and t cap is second function. We'll apply product rule of differentiation which says first function as it is, differentiation of second function plus second function as it is, differentiation of first function. So first function is omega, I'll write omega as it is. Second function it is t cap plus t cap as it is, d omega by dt. Moving forward, my dear student, we all know that d omega by dt is nothing but alpha because d omega is small change in angular velocity with respect to small change in time, that is dt. So d omega by dt is nothing but alpha. So I'll write a vector is equals to r omega dt cap by dt plus instead of d omega by dt, I'll write alpha with t cap. So my dear student, there is a relation between radial unit vector and tangential unit vector. I hope you all are aware with that because in previous lecture we'll cover that topic. It is, if you have to differentiate tangential unit vector with respect to theta, you'll get minus r cap, my dear student, negative of radial unit vector. Now see, here tangential unit vector is there, but in denominator it is dt. So there is no any relation which can create new term tangential unit vector with respect to dt. But there is a relation, if tangential unit vector is differentiating with respect to theta, you will get negative of radial unit vector. And I already tell you what is the meaning of negative of radial unit vector. Radial unit vector is away from radius. But if it is minus r, then it is towards center. So my dear student, I'll multiply and divide d theta with this term. So we'll write multiply and divide by d theta. So what we'll get? We'll get a vector is equals to r comes outside, omega is there, d over dt, t cap is there, multiply d theta, divide d theta, and plus alpha and t cap. Now see my dear student, dt cap by d theta, it becomes minus r. So I'll write here a vector is equals to r, omega is there, and d theta by dt. We know that d theta by dt is nothing but omega, my dear student. So what we'll get? One more omega is there, and d theta by dt cap by d theta, it is minus r cap. So I'll write minus r cap plus alpha and t cap. See my dear student, multiply r in both terms. It is a vector is equals to r omega square minus r cap plus r alpha and t cap. This is the relation of linear acceleration if the particle is performing circular motion. I hope you all are getting the relations. It is a vector is equals to r omega square minus r cap plus r alpha t cap, r omega square minus r cap plus r alpha t cap. Moving forward, my dear students, see what this relation shows. Try to understand, because this is very important concept, my dear student. We know that we have two different unit vectors. One is radial unit vector and other is tangential unit vector. See, if I am making a circular motion, here it is r cap. See, my dear student, if r cap is outside, then minus r cap is towards center and t cap is towards tangent. T cap is very easy to understand because t cap stands for tangential unit vector. So remember one thing, my dear student, if r cap is away from center, then minus r cap is towards center. Now see the relation of acceleration. It is a vector is equals to r omega square minus r cap plus r alpha t cap. Now see, my dear student, this relation shows if the particle is in circular motion. I am repeating once again, my dear student. This relation shows if the particle is performing circular motion, then the particle have two different accelerations. One is towards center, that is negative of radial unit vector, and other is tangential acceleration. So remember, I'll write in form of note that if a particle is in circular motion, if the particle is in circular motion, then the particle have two accelerations. One is called tangential acceleration. My dear student, for one acceleration is called tangential acceleration and other acceleration is called centripetal acceleration. Why centripetal? Because second acceleration is acting towards center. That's why that acceleration is called centripetal acceleration. So I'll writing here, if a particle is in circular motion, then the particle have two accelerations. One is towards tangent, that is called tangential acceleration. That is called tangential acceleration and it is represented by at. Second is towards center, that is called centripetal acceleration. And it is represented by AC. So what is tangential acceleration? Tangential acceleration is r alpha t cap. See, my dear student, why I am said this, that why acceleration when the particle is in circular track, why it carry two different accelerations? Because see, r alpha is acting towards tangent and r omega square is acting towards center. That's why I am saying the particle carry two different accelerations. So if the particle is in circular track, my dear student, remember this thing, the particle carry two different acceleration. One is towards tangent, it is called tangential acceleration and it is r alpha, and one is towards center called centripetal acceleration, it is r omega square, because r omega square is towards center. So my dear student, second acceleration is centripetal acceleration, it is r omega square and its direction is minus r cap. So remember this thing, if the particle is in circular track, then the particle carry two different accelerations in two different direction. One is towards center and second is towards tangent. Towards tangent, the acceleration which is acting on particle is called tangential acceleration. It is represented by r alpha. And second is towards center, which is called centripetal acceleration, which is acting towards center, that is r omega square. So remember, my dear student, if the particle is moving in circular track, then the particle carry two different accelerations. one is towards tangent and another is towards center. Towards tangent, the acceleration is called tangential acceleration, and towards center, the acceleration is called centripetal acceleration. Their values are, for tangential acceleration, it is r alpha. T cap is the direction of tangential acceleration, which says that the acceleration is towards tangent, and second is centripetal acceleration, it is r omega square and it is towards center. That's why the unit vector is minus r cap. I hope you all understand both the concepts. Moving forward, my dear student, write down alternate relation of centripetal acceleration. Alternate relation of centripetal acceleration. Alternate relation of centripetal acceleration. Write down alternate relation of centripetal acceleration. Now we'll find one more formula for centripetal acceleration, dear student. I'm writing here alternate formula of centripetal acceleration. Write down alternate formula of centripetal acceleration. Alternate formula of centripetal acceleration. So as we all know, centripetal acceleration is nothing but r omega square. R omega square. The value of centripetal acceleration is r omega square. I'll multiply and divide by r in RHS. I'm multiplying, dividing with r, that is radius of circular track, in RHS. So it will get AC is equals to r omega square multiply r divided by r. Now what will get, my dear student? R square omega square by r. Now we all know that the magnitude of velocity, linear velocity in centripetal acceleration is r omega. Velocity is r omega. So what we'll get? AC is equals to v square by r. Remember this thing, v is linear velocity. So we'll get another formula of centripetal acceleration. It is towards center and the value is v square by r. So this is again very important formula. Most of the time we are using this formula for centripetal acceleration. It is v square by r. So remember this formula, my dear student. The relation of centripetal acceleration will get two different values of linear acceleration when the particle is in circular motion towards center. One is r omega square and second is v square by r. In numerical, most of the time we'll use v square by r. So moving forward, my dear student, I hope you all understand these all concepts. So what we conclude? We conclude that if the particle is in circular motion, then the particle achieves two different acceleration. One is towards center and second is towards tangent. Towards center, the acceleration is called centripetal acceleration, and the acceleration which is acting towards tangent is called tangential acceleration. Now we all know that the particle achieves acceleration if its velocity changes. I am repeating once again, my dear student. The particle is achieving acceleration when the velocity of particle is changing, because we know that acceleration is nothing but change in velocity with respect to time. So my dear student, as we see, when the particle is in circular motion, the particle achieves two different accelerations. One is towards center and one is towards tangent. Both acceleration work very different and you have to understand their work, my dear student. Remember one thing, acceleration comes when velocity changes, because the acceleration is nothing but change in velocity with respect to time, dv by dt, change in velocity with respect to time. So write down a fresh heading, work of acceleration. Work of acceleration when the particle acceleration when the particle is in circular motion. When the particle is in circular motion. Work of acceleration when the particle is in circular motion. Work of both acceleration when the particle is in circular motion. Now we know that we have two different accelerations when the particle is in circular motion, my dear student. One acceleration is towards tangent called tangential acceleration, and second acceleration is towards center called centripetal acceleration, my dear student. But both the acceleration have different works, my dear student. You have to understand their work. See, the tangential acceleration is acting towards tangent, and it works as, if I am talking about tangential acceleration, so the tangential acceleration works as changes the magnitude of velocity. If particle is moving in circular track, but its velocity magnitude is not changing, then we will say tangential acceleration is not acting on particle. So write down, tangential acceleration work is to change the magnitude of velocity. Remember this thing, my dear student. If the particle is achieving tangential acceleration when it is in circular motion, then remember that work of tangential acceleration is to change the magnitude of velocity. Moving forward, my dear student, second is centripetal acceleration. See, centripetal acceleration works as to change the direction of velocity when the particle is in circular motion. So I'll write here centripetal acceleration changes the direction of velocity. Changes the direction of velocity when the particle is in circular motion. When the particle is in circular motion. So remember the work of tangential acceleration and centripetal acceleration, my dear student. Remember the work of tangential acceleration and centripetal acceleration. The centripetal acceleration will changes the magnitude of velocity, first thing, because we know that acceleration is change in velocity with respect to time, and velocity is a vector quantity. So velocity depends on magnitude as well as direction. If any of the thing, that is either magnitude of velocity is changing, still acceleration is achieved by particle. If only direction of velocity is changing, then also acceleration is achieved by particle. So what we'll see that when the particle is in circular motion, then the particle achieves two different accelerations, linear accelerations. One is towards tangent and other is towards center. Towards tangent, the acceleration is called tangential acceleration. The acceleration which is acting towards center is called centripetal acceleration. So what we'll see both the acceleration works on different frames. The centripetal acceleration will changes the direction of velocity. So if the direction of velocity changes when the particle is in circular motion, it implies the particle carries centripetal acceleration. I am repeating once again, my dear student. If the direction of velocity is changing in circular motion, which is performed by particle, then we will say the particle carries centripetal acceleration. If the direction of velocity is not changing, then we will say centripetal acceleration is not acting. The value of centripetal acceleration is 0. Similarly, if I'm talking about tangential acceleration, then tangential acceleration means that acceleration which changes the magnitude of velocity. I'm repeating once again. If the magnitude of velocity is changing when the particle is in circular motion, then we'll say tangential acceleration is acting on particle. If the magnitude of velocity is not changing when the particle is performing circular motion, then we'll say the value of tangential acceleration is 0. Tangential acceleration is not acting on particle. So I hope, my dear student, today's lecture will be understood by you. Make your proper notes, revise again and again your notes, because every chapter, every concept in physics are connected with previous one. If you want to strong your hand on physics, then you have to revise each and every topic every day, my dear student. And don't grab the things. Try to understand the concept of physics. So I hope you all are staying safe in your home. Please take care of yourself and stay happy, stay study continuously. Thank you so much, my dear student.